Hello, reader. Thank you for joining us. This is the Christian Readers Community Podcast. On this podcast, we will be discussing with fellow readers and authors. You will never lack for good conversations and recommendations of Christian books. If you're a lover of literary works, fiction and non-fiction, then you have made the right stop here. Thank you for joining us again, and I hope you listen to every podcast that we get to put out for you. Thank you. Our guest on the show today is Taiwo, aka Taiwolilly. She's a 25-year-old who is committed in dedicating the rest of her life to watering souls for others. She has been given the mandate to bring life to many using her words and other God-given talents. She hopes to see the captives set free from their oppression and to bind up the brokenhearted. Nothing makes her more happy than a soul being won. She has written several books over the years, all of which has gotten great renown both home and abroad. She has written a total of 3 books and currently has 1 work in progress. She is a blogger, chorister, songwriter, content creator, and brand designer.
Hello everyone, I'm Faith, and like I said before, I am back, and I'm back with another author, and this is Kehinde's twin sister. Kehinde said something very wonderful during the previous during one of the interviews I had with her, and today I'm definitely going to be asking her sister about it. Welcome to the show, Taiwo. Welcome to the Christian Readers Community.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, Faith. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Thank you.
God, and it's such a huge honor.
You and your sister sound so alike. Like
I hear that a lot.
You sound so alike, honestly. But well, I just hope. Is this Taiwo? Just joking. Anyway, so this is the identical twin sister of Kehinde. If you listen to that one, and if you didn't, you can try to listen to that one before this one, really, because Kehinde said something very intriguing that I'll definitely be asking her sister about it. So what do you think about your sister's philosophy that, you being the first to come out of your mother's womb, that, she sent you first, that's the philosophy behind her name, that she sent you first to go and, see the world. So even though she came second, she was the eldest. So what do you think about that one?
Well, normally I would never agree with that. No, it's a popular belief here in our tribe. Yeah, that's what they always say, especially our women, like the older women. They say she's the Egbon, like the elder one, and I'm the younger. But me, I don't accept that. Biologically speaking, I am the elder. Do you understand? I'm the elder, so I don't accept that analogy at all. No, you don't send me. I'm the first.
Maybe that's just their way of consoling the second born as part. Oh, don't be angry, you came second. Maybe that's just their way of telling her, don't be sad, you came second. Yeah, don't decide to bring out that kind of philosophy.
I'll be, but you not have to vex, but I'm sure the first.
But you people, maybe the fashion that her own this thing according to that story in the Bible, where the one that was tied with the scarlet robe was the one that came second.
Yeah.
So if we are doing it by that one, maybe I will agree with Kehinde.
That's how it was. I don't agree. I don't agree.
Okay. Anyway, so you've heard it from both twin sisters. I mean, both of them are now dragging who is the eldest. So
yeah.
So maybe we'll just leave it for our listeners to decide. So we'll just leave it for our listeners to decide. So if you if you haven't, if you listen to the previous interview and you're currently listening to this one, so you see that the younger sister said, the elder sister, oh my goodness, please pardon me. The elder sister said she disagrees with that philosophy that she is the eldest biologically and every other logic. So let's quickly dive into why the reason why we are here. But once again, I've been able to get her own perspectives about biology and philosophy. So let's talk about you as a writer and a Christian author, for that matter. And I have your favorite book, of course. What's this favorite book of yours? Something about faith. There's faith in the name of that story. Remind me, please.
The Fate of a Survivor, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, The Fate of a Survivor.
It's my current book, but it's not my favorite though.
Well, that's my favorite of you.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. The Fate of a Survivor. That's the place where America, was bombed, right? That's the story, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Yes, I'm correct. That's my favorite story of of all the stories that you've written. But let's start with you. So your sister told us a little bit about you, how you were the one who started writing in the family, and how you inspired her to start writing. So how did you come to writing Christian books yourself?
Wow, Christian books. To be honest, I've been a writer for a long time. I've always loved writing, even since I was young. I started writing when I was 8 years old. Actually, it was a family friend that inspired me. As a child, I would write what is the pig and the tortoise, the chicken and the lion. Those fairy tales. I used to really enjoy writing them as a child.
Wow,
So
I enjoyed those stories as a child as well. I enjoyed reading them as a child, not writing them. But I really enjoyed those stories. I was usually very intrigued by, especially the ones about tortoise.
Yes, tortoise was very stubborn animal.
Yeah, stubborn and wise, according to what they used to teach us those days.
Yeah. So it was actually a family friend, a friend of my mom's that actually saw one of the pieces I wrote, and she encouraged me. And I don't know why it stuck for me from that day. So, secondary school, we were actually a group of people that decided to team up and then write one short story like that. Something happened along the line, so I started writing independently. Maybe when I was in SS1. But the thing with writing, apart from God, is you might not really necessarily have a focus. For instance, you might just be writing because you notice you are good at writing. But
yes,
when you are writing for God, there is always a meaning and there's always a purpose attached to it. I can tell you straight up that from the time that I was 8 years old, I had not finished one book. So the book I started writing was a Christian book. I had attempted to write a lot of books over the years, but the one book that I finished, the first of its kind, was a Christian book. And it was not long after I gave my life to Christ as well. And that was also in 2016. So it was a kind of complete change for me from writing whatever I wanted to writing solely for God.
Wow. Oh, that's wonderful, really. And what was your first story and what inspired it? Because you said that you were actually a writer, so I won't even ask. So I think you've explained, you started telling us when you started writing and, what brought you into the writing world. So what was your first story and why did you decide to write that story at the time?
My first story
as a Christian. As a Christian.
Okay, as a Christian, okay. I think I started writing 2016. 2016, and my first book was The Fate of It. I'm sorry, my first book was In the Last Days. My first book was In the Last Days. Yes, and it started. It was around after my 17th birthday. That was when I started the journey of writing In the Last Days. In the Last Days was my first book that I wrote.
Wow. So what inspired it?
Wow. I still get chills even from reading that book, because like it adds, writing that book had such a profound impact on me, because that was the first time I was fully giving myself to God. Like after giving my life to Christ, because a lot of things happened in my life around that time. So it was a different feeling for me. I actually wanted to write to people like myself. Like I wanted to write something that could not necessarily attract or just believers, but even people in the world as well. But once they are hooked into the novel, I wanted them to see something that they've never seen before. I knew how the world was, I knew how I was, and I knew how Christian books used to like put me off then. So I wanted to write something that could hook anyone in, whether you were a Christian or you were not a Christian, but at the end of the day, you would get the message. And there was something, so there was something so pressing about that particular period of time in my life. And I was well aware of the times that we were in, hence the name In the Last Days. At that point, I was more concerned about using my gift for God than anything. And even as you read my book, even in my characters, I portray them as people that maybe were in the world before, and even wealthy people at that. You know, there are a lot of people that might not be concerned with religion because maybe they feel like they don't need it because they had everything. So I specifically wanted non-conventional people to take on the role of Christians in my book. And I wanted them with their stature to actually do things for God. In fact, there's also a character in my book that is also a writer like myself, writing about end time things, end time events too, even in my book. So that was the point. I wanted people to see the urgency of the times that we're living in. Just like God had opened my eyes, I wanted people's eyes to be opened as well.
So you mentioned that, when I first said that The Fate of a Survivor was my favorite book that you've written, like my favorite from you, you said it wasn't your favorite. So is this The Last Days, is it your favorite, or do you have another one, or was there another one?
To be frank, In the Last Days is not my favorite, but it is a very special book to me, because I feel like that was the first, because in the sense that I was in the Last Days, like you'll probably notice that it is probably more more religious. Should I say the word? Like it was more religious than the rest of my book. So it was like that was my starting point, and of course I got better in my other books. Do you get? Yes. I got better. So you know that you will notice the rawness with which I used in the Last Days. Like I was still not yet as refined as I am now. But I still feel like In the Last Days carries one of the most important messages in all my books. But if you will ask me what my favorite book is, I think I'll say The Concession. The Concession is my favorite book.
Wow. So I noticed one peculiar thing about your book. Well, first, you are a Nigerian. You're living in Nigeria. But your books are set in the United States.
Yes.
So this means that you're writing about another country. So I'd like to ask you, how do you manage that? How do you manage to fix the country? How do you manage to fix your story? Because I've seen people doing this and it's really beautiful. They write this international fiction and they feature more than one countries, and how do you do it? Like how do you manage to capture their ways of living, the kind of food they eat? Because I know it's different over here and it's different also in the United States. So tell me, how do you manage to pull that off in your stories?
Wow, this is a very interesting question. And to be honest, that I've always been actually jealous of people that could write native stories, because I found that it's not that easy for me to write, and I don't know why. Maybe because I was not used to like Nigerian books. Like I was not really
Yeah.
exposed to African literature. I think that was one of the major reasons. And because I actually, even right from a very young age, in our family, we were used to watching foreign movies. We were used to watching foreign cartoons, so I could get a picture. I could get a feel of how they lived there. And I was not particularly a child that I didn't really mingle that much with people. So even in the places that we lived, we didn't really get to experience much about even here. Do you get what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
but with the movies that I got used to, with the movies I grew up with, I got to see a lot about people's culture, other people's culture. So I could create my own world based on the things that I saw from their own world. Do you understand? And part of the
Yes.
literature that I do read was by foreign authors as well, not mainly from African authors as well. Though I don't even know, it's not to my credit, because I don't really think that's good enough. But I also find myself being a bit jealous when I see people crafting beautiful stories like based in Nigeria, based in Africa, and I really, really applaud people that do that. But I don't know. I feel the most comfortable when I like I create characters from foreign countries. I don't know. I guess I can relate more. I don't know. I guess I feel like I can relate more.
I totally understand, the point you made. And I just wanted to let you know that I know an author who can relate to what you said as well. So let's talk about your other writing, because I know everybody definitely has come a long way from their first book. Anybody who did not come a long way from their first book, then I don't know what I'm going to say. I wanted to say that person needs to be flogged, but let me. Yeah, really. I'm sure that if you ask everybody what do you think about your first book, they'll say that's the dearest to my heart, because that was what opened their path or their way to writing. But they will tell you that they've come a long way with writing. So now that you've come a long way, do you plan to go further in writing?
Wow, I feel like writing will always be a part of me. Though, a lot of things are happening right now for a while now that haven't given me the time or like the motivation to actually write. For instance, the book that you said was your favorite, The Fate of the Survivor, I've been putting it off for a while now, and I don't know. I guess I'm at a point where I need a lot of focus, and I don't have that time right now.
Yeah.
So I need to make further research, I need more world building ideas. I need to actually develop the plot and the setting of the story, because and because there's actually a message to all of my books, and I want to do the best that I can in actually executing that message.
Oh, so you said that In the Last Days is your first novel. And you wrote it because you wanted to bring people to let them know the times that we are in, and you explained so many things about it. So what's your purpose writing? Like, what do you really want people to get besides what you wrote in that first book? What about the ones you've written and the ones you would still write?
Well, like I said, every single one of my books, they have a specific message to specific people. You can read my book and you might feel like it's not for you, but the people that the books are written to, they actually know. They will know once they actually read it. So, like, personally, I have my own God-given purpose, and to the glory of God, I know what that is. And in everything that I do, whether it's in my talent or in my skill, I want to actually glorify God through everything that I do. So one of the main purposes of me writing is to actually set the captives free, release to prisoners and liberty to the captives, like to give them gladness for mourning, like things like that. Like I just want those that have been trapped, maybe for a very long time, that have been held captive. I want them to find freedom even through reading my books. Because, for instance, the concession, like the name implies, that is someone actually like giving someone consent to be able to influence their lives. And in this case, William, my character, gave consent to the devil to influence his life, whether he was aware of it consciously or not. So the concession is written to people to be more aware of the spirituality of things, like to not just be flippant about things that matters. Do you understand? Like they should be very careful that they should guide themselves, they should guide their hearts, and regardless of who it is, that they should not compromise, because he did what he did because he was trying to save someone. But I don't think you have to give your soul just to save anyone, because our soul is the most important thing to us.
Yeah, our soul is the most important thing. Yes, go ahead.
He was not aware of the consequences of his actions because he was not like a Christian like that. So he was not aware of the gravity of his actions, and you will see the effects throughout the book. So my point in the book is for you to be careful that some people consciously or unconsciously they give consent to the devil. And that is what the devil wants, and that could just be a legal ground for the devil to work different things in their lives. So every single element of my book, they have their own meaning, they are symbolic. And I know that those that God has already been talking to prior to reading my book will go, like they will see what it is that God wants them to see in my book.
I know your stories are actually available for free on Wattpad. So do you plan to publish on Amazon anytime soon?
Yes, I do, but maybe not now.
Okay.
I don't rush the process of publishing.
I know
it might feel weird, but like I just want to take my time.
Sure, there's nothing weird about taking your time, trust me. So, what's your username on Wattpad for those who would like to check out your story?
Okay, it's Taiwolillyz. Taiwolillyz.
Spell that slowly.
Taiwolillyz. Taiwolillyz.
Okay. Any comma, / period, number?
Just the first letter is capital.
Oh, okay. So if someone looks for the concession under that name, they will find you, right?
Yeah, you find on Wattpad, you find on Webnovel, even on other sites.
Sites also. Okay, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Do you have any of your stories close to you so that you read an excerpt from any of your stories for us?
Yes, can you give me a few seconds? I'm coming. I have the concession close to me.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'll be reading a brief excerpt from chapter 9. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to. Okay. Work was different that day. It was Monday. Will sat on the edge of his bed and stared at the empty space that Hope's body had been not 10 minutes ago. His heart fluttered a bit just thinking about her. Yesterday had felt so surreal. It had been just the two of them talking about their time together before everything. It had been bliss. And also, eating and food the other night had been great. It had been better than anything he could have made. She left quite in a hurry and hadn't had breakfast. She'd left early to prepare for work. She'd been so flustered waking up. Will smiled a bit, remembering the sight of her in the morning light. She was still so breathtaking. He still couldn't believe that the woman he had been missing, the woman that haunted his dreams, had been there by his side all these years. It felt like a dream. He wanted to know why she had kept it from him. Why would she knowingly pretend? It was so strange. Everything was strange. He didn't know how he was still sane. He stood up from the bed and had a shower. The water cascaded down his body. A lot was on his mind. He could still remember the encounter with the shadow last night. Things were already getting too complicated. What could it possibly want with him? How was the shadow able to talk in the first place? None of it made sense. He stared at his hand. There was nothing on it to even indicate the existence of a burn to begin with, even though his hand had been entirely seared. But somehow his old hand had been magically restored. Hope's smile flashed across his mind. Who exactly was she? She definitely wasn't ordinary. And the pastor must know something. It seemed he'd even prepared the room they'd taken him to beforehand. It was obvious some people knew what was going on, but what did it have to do with him? Why was he at the center of it? He clenched his hand into a fist at a loss of what else to do. Bob had said something about a concession. He'd consented to something, but to what? What on earth had he agreed to? He's coming for what it is. The creature from his dreams had shrieked. What was that creature?
Thank you so much, Taiwo. Yes, Taiwo, please. I almost called you by your twin sister's name. So, if anybody wants to reach out to you, under which username should they check you out, and which platforms?
Okay, I'm on Twitter as Taiwolilly1. Taiwolilly, not Lilies this time, like Taiwolilly, Taiwolilly1. That's Taiwolilly1 on Twitter, and Taiwolilly on Instagram, Taiwolilly. On Instagram is not a double L, but just a single L. So you can reach me out on, yes. So you can reach me out on this one.
Okay, thank you so much, Taiwo. And I hope that when I invite you next time, you would be willing to come again, because I'd definitely like to have you here again.
Of course. This was this was so wonderful for me. It was a wonderful experience for me. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Taiwo, and God bless you too. I'm really grateful you came, really. Thank you. And yeah, I've been able to, heard your own side too about your names. And I'm sure our listeners too are also happy to hear your own side. So definitely allow them be the judge of who is older than the other. Anyway, listeners, thank you so much for joining me on another exciting episode. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I mean, I was laughing almost all through the interview I did with her, and the one I did with her twin sister, her identical twin sister. You need to see their pictures. You think it's the same person, on both pictures. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, like you enjoyed it like I did. And if you did, check out other episodes and do stick around, subscribe wherever you're listening from, follow us for more exciting content like this. And until I come your way again next time, I'm saying as usual, stay safe, stay blessed, and bye bye everyone.